My parents came to this beautiful country when I was 8. Immigrant, oldest of 2, my brother was 2. It was a culture shock, not knowing the language, looking different, sounding different, hearing, go back to your country, you're ugly, what are you doing? I was told by teachers that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And again, confidence. I always knew that one day people would know who I was. But just to give you all a bit of how it all started is, I'm used to beating the odds and being the underdog even before I was born. Now, some of you might be like, what are you talking about? Before I was born, everybody told my mom that I was going to be a girl. So if you can beat those odds, honestly, is there anything that you cannot do? When my mom was actually giving birth to me, she had a heart attack. True story. And the doctor came out and asked my dad, Mr. Vega, you need to choose between your wife or your newborn. And he's like, well, you got to save them both. So it's been a long journey. It's never been easy. Sometimes people see the result, but they don't see the sleepless nights, the work that took you to get there, the rejections, the self-doubt. Because a lot of times they see me on social media and they're like, my God, I love your story, overnight success. And I'm thinking, my story's been a 17-year overnight success. So those of you that may know a little bit about me know that it hasn't been easy. I don't have rich parents. I don't have what's called a safety blanket. This real estate needed to work. And I think that was the mindset that I needed to have from day one. Can you talk about your mindset during COVID? Because obviously last year was a very challenging year for all of us. I mean, not only did we had COVID, the shutdown, a lot of businesses suffered, a lot of businesses that were open 20, 30 years were forced to close their doors. A lot of families that put their heart and soul into a business were forced to say, we can't continue just because their businesses and lives were disrupted for 3 months. The minute that we got shut down, obviously me as a broker owner, a lot of my agents did not come to the office because we didn't know how you can get this. It was the fear of the unknown. And I started going to the office by myself and I said, okay, well, it's been such a long ride. I didn't come all the way to quit now or be forced to close doors. I got to be resourceful. So the mindset had a lot to do with it. It's how I saw things. And I said, okay, well, if it is to be, it's up to me. I'm going to find a way. I got to be resourceful. And one of the things that resonated with what Armando said is that customer service driven. I started contacting my friends, family, past clients, and everybody that I had on my phone, everybody that was on my social media, to let them know, how are you? It wasn't about, hey, I know you just lost your job. Would you like to buy a house? Those were not the conversations that I was having. I was more like, Armando, ¿cómo estás? How are you? Hey, this is Ulises. And sometimes I would joke around and say, hey, do you need toilet paper? Do you need me to pick up your groceries? Do you need me to pick up your prescription? Because a lot of elderly clients could not go out. So I was coming from a giving place. I was, and it was truly something that I felt. It wasn't because I knew eventually it would come back, feed my business, but I truly cared. There was a lot of uncertainty. And when I started doing that and I realized that people needed to hear you. People were hungry to hear from somebody say, everything's going to be okay. We are going to be okay. And I think when I started doing that on a regular basis, I started to see those phone calls and those connections come back, and they were asking me, hey, by the way, is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy? Rates dropped, people started buying, but it was a month and a half of me being by myself at the office and literally doing the basics, the door knocking by myself, the cold calling by myself. I do a lot of social media and videos. I was doing that like there was no tomorrow. And I think that's what resonated with all of my sphere. I started inspiring my agents because they started seeing, well, if the broker's doing this, I guess it's okay to do so. I would literally sometimes go and stop by and see a friend, a client that lived nearby, and I would just literally just say, hey, just wanted to see how you were doing. Is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything you need from me? It wasn't about you want to buy a house, you want to sell a house. Hey, I noticed that you got laid off. You might need to short sell your house. It had nothing to do with real estate, but it was about showing that you really cared. So to me, mindset is everything. What happens when we have a computer that is kind of slow? Sometimes we have to reboot it, right? I mean, we all have a computer. Sometimes our phones, when you have to download the new Apple, whatever software or program, we got to download it. We often have to reboot the way we think. Association. Who are you associating yourself with? You're a reflection of the top 5 people you hang out with, you text, you have lunch, dinner, and sometimes you have to realize that those inner circle that we thought were cool, they're not really bringing anything to the table. And sometimes tough choices have to be made. Sometimes you have to cut those people loose because they're taking over your energy. They're draining your energy, your mind, your time. And time is something that you will never, ever be able to get back. You also have to have a why. What is your purpose? Why do you do what you do on a daily basis? Why do you get up every day, even when you don't feel like going? A lot of people tell me, Lee says, man, you have the perfect life, and you're so positive. It doesn't seem like you have a bad day ever. And I'm like, no, I'm human. And I probably have more bad days than I can think of, but at the end of the day, you got to step out of it. You cannot let one single action completely dictate the day, the week, the month, the year. And sometimes you see people dwelling over stuff that I'm like, dude, just drop it. Don't let that, as they say, it was a lesson learned, not a life sentence. Has anybody heard of that? My goal is to drop a golden nugget that you all can immediately take and execute it. It doesn't have to be about real estate, or if you're in the lending business, an entrepreneur, whether you're a father, a single mom, a spouse. It's all about mindset. It's all about communication. How do we view everything? What's your take on mindset? When you hear mindset, it's such a broad subject that you can probably have 1,000 answers. But to me, mindset is everything. It starts with mindset. It's how you view things. Has anybody heard, 50% of the battle is believing you can do it? The other 50% is just showing up and execute. Whenever I go on a listing appointment, I already imagine myself with my for sale sign in the front yard. Some people might be like, well, you're just cocky, you're arrogant. No, I just believe in myself, and I've always believed that I'm the right person for the job. Whenever I compete against other top listing agents in my area, I respect them, but I know I have what it takes to compete at their level. You got to believe in you before somebody believes in you. Another thing that a lot of times we fail to do regularly is self-development. I wish I would have been exposed in my early 20s to self-development, because you kind of wonder, where would my life be, my business? But you cannot dwell on the past. I just want to make sure that all of you realize how important it is to have a good mindset. Surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you. And that may include relationships, friendships, family. Sometimes you have to cut family that drains you. Sometimes you have to cut friends that all they do is, oh my God, you're still in real estate? Oh my God, like somebody passed away. Yeah. Sometimes you have to let go of a spouse, a friend that you thought had your back. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it might hurt, but sometimes you need that in order to grow. You gotta check your top 5 people on a regular basis. And again, mindset is everything. Check your mindset daily. Are you doing activities that are going to be lead generating activities? Sometimes we feel that being busy is the way to go. I would rather focus on 3 hours that are going to give me results than 9 hours of nothing. It's quality versus quantity. So mindset is everything, guys and gals. I want to make sure that all of you realize the importance of having a positive mindset, realizing that you are the architect of your own future. You are the architect of your own future. You want to make a 6-7-figure income? You got what it takes. You just got to be willing to pay the price. You got to be willing to be disciplined. You got to be willing to do the daily activities. Has anybody heard of the phrase repetition boredom? It's sometimes doing the boring repetition, the boring cold calling, the boring door knocking, the boring videos and all of that stuff. But that's what gets you the listings. That's what gets you the clients. We often want the 6-figure income when we get a real estate license, but we're not willing to put in the work that gets you that. You want to become a champion? Well, you got to act like one. You got to dress like one. You got to be disciplined like one. You got to be willing to put your ego aside, check your ego at the door, and always be willing to learn from others. I want to thank you for that, because I was listening to the Crypto Queen. I was listening to my brother over there to the left, and I was just like listening to everything that you were saying. I was glued, because again, you don't get a lot of chances to be having lunch with somebody that's a 7-figure earner, that's just cool, calm, collective, and willing to share. So be open to constructive criticism. Be willing to take notes, and realize that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Was inspire at least one person. If I could do that, today was a blessing. So I want to thank all of you, and I know this is the first, but certainly not the last time I'll be on stage with Ruben. So, brother, I love you. Thank you so much.
All right, let's give a huge round of applause. Great job. Let's give another huge round of applause. Great job. Sharing amazing information.